What does it take to pass the 3-episode rule? It must satisfy some combination of these things: compelling main characters, interesting side characters, a gripping story that has you glued to the screen, a fascinating world, and finally, great animation. So let's see how Dead Mountain Deathplay matches up in each category, starting with the main characters. If you don't care or want to see the characters that are on the screen the most, it probably means they are bad characters and the show won't last long. I actually really like the blend of characters we have here. Let's start with our protagonist, Corpse God, an isekai harbinger of death that came to our world from one filled with fantasy. Upon arrival, they took over the body of a human named Polka, who got killed shortly before Corpse God arrived. At first, you aren't sure if you're gonna like this person, but we see that despite them treating all lives as their playthings, they have a strong sense of justice and even stronger sense of humor. As they learn more about the world they currently reside in, striving to live a peaceful life, it's great to better understand Corpse God's character, as although they look young, there's a lifetime of memories we haven't tapped into 3 episodes in. Anything from betrayal, persecution, to death, Corpse God has lived through it all. They are pretty reasonable, all things considered, as you aren't getting some meathead that goes in blind or a super smart protagonist that has the answers to everything. Out of everyone, Corpse God really feels like the most human despite being anything but that, rushing in to protect what they want and understanding their own limitations while abiding by a code. A pretty well-rounded character overall. We can't say all that for a second main character, Misaki, an assassin that only kills killers, which then makes her a killer who actually gets killed, but is now a zombie with a bite that can paralyze an elephant and a kick that would put Mbappe's boot to shame. Misaki is definitely part of the comedic relief here, although she has a lot more to her than that. Her backstory is tragic and puts who she is into perspective. She is the one that will be making perverted jokes and laughing while someone's getting murdered right before your eyes. What every goth girl thinks they are, Misaki is that, and more. Just like Corpse God, she has a great sense of humor, able to make light of any situation, and just goes with the flows of things, as she is the definition of intrusive thoughts. Finally, we have Takumi, the hacker guy who also has a shady past, but is the most normal out of our main character trio. Not having magic like Corpse God or laughing at death like Misaki, instead he's the hacker behind the computer screen that would rather run than fight any of his problems. He's the one that we can relate to the most out of the bunch, as you'll mostly see him as a drone giving instructions to the other 2 characters here, but he does show up, as he's usually the voice of reason since he's the most realistic and cowardly of our group. For our main characters, I give this score a 19 out of 20. Since I can't complain, there are pretty good main characters and I enjoy every time they're together and how they've been developed so far and can't wait for them to be developed even more. Next up is a gripping story. If the viewer doesn't care about the actions of the main characters, there's no anticipation for the next episode, so it's likely to be dropped. This also includes pacing, making sure that the story actually develops within a decent time frame and not too quickly or too slowly. Overall, there isn't much of a story 3 episodes in. The overarching goal of our protagonist here is to live a comfortable life, not save the world or get revenge or anything else of that nature. So there isn't a higher purpose at this stage to make you come back to see them achieve that goal. The pacing though has been fine. Each episode doesn't feel rushed, but also feels like there has been some movement, usually away from a protagonist's goal, which is interesting. Whether that be introducing some new characters that will act as opposing forces in the future, or them guiding us to learn more about Polka and who Corpse God is as a character. That's really the main crux of the first 3 episodes, so I can't give it higher than a 14 out of 20. It's that low since we don't have a tangible goal other than to live a comfortable and slow life, which isn't the most enticing goal, but we give some of that up to slowly flesh out the world and characters, as that's what helps the score be as high as it is. Speaking of characters, let's go back there for a moment, as we have interesting side characters. Although side characters aren't a must, the best shows are popped up on the best side characters. They can at times even outshine the main ones, bringing us joy and excitement when we get scenes of them. And any good anime has at least a couple that we either crave to see on screen or always make things interesting when they come up. This is going to be the hardest to score highest in 3 episodes in, since most anime are still exploring the world, main characters, and the story. Thankfully though, we still get to see a good amount of characters that we expect to see more of going forward 3 episodes in. This includes Clarissa, the bar owner, who is the one that employs Misaki, our lovely assassin. Clarissa has her humorous moments with Corpse God, as she isn't easy to rattle and even puts our main characters together. She also isn't afraid to have things get a little spicy. Add on top of that the newly introduced character in episode 3, who looks to be just a common drunk and womanizer. Instead, he's actually the lead of the police force that deals with everything supernatural. So it's curious to see just how this human looking person, who whines like a child and drinks like every day is Saturday, will interact with our main characters. As he also has a partner in the force who's the opposite of him and seems to be more stuck up, giving some good contrasting characters already 3 episodes in. Again, not enough to fully show them off, but it's a promising start. 17 out of 20. Now we have one of the most crucial bits, and that is a fascinating world. This helps outline what the boundaries are or lack thereof. A well laid out world can have you engrossed on what's happening and is a production of a lot of curiosity. Any fascinating world is connected to the story, and here we actually blessed with 2. Since we have 2 worlds to think about here, this one gets interesting. Although the world Corpse God came from is mostly shown in episode 1, there are hints of it later, mainly through some flashbacks. The thought is always there, if Corpse God crossed over, why wouldn't someone else be able to achieve the same? The backstory alone makes what we know as the world more interesting. Add on to that, in the world we mainly look at, we have characters such as lemmings and fire-breathing bugs. Characters that seem to have gone above the limits of humans, leaving us fascinated with just what else could be out there. As far as we know, Corpse God is the only one that is able to use magic, but there's much we don't know about this world just yet, since it seems there are humans that have gone past the limit of what it means to be human. Add on top of that this assassination group that is underground in terms of what the regular person sees, but we are right in the middle of a lot of underground business. That makes every day a mystery and exciting. So these breadcrumbs of characters make it so that we can't wait to explore the intricacies of organization and the limits put onto the world. The world building thus far gets the job done for being set in a world that's more realistic while juggling lots of combat and magic. So 17 out of 20. Finally is the animation. This is an anime at the end of the day. That doesn't mean every frame looks like it needs to be drawn by the hands of God, but needs to be serviceable at the end of the day. I have to say, other than some parts where Corpse God in the beginning, the animation is really good. They change up the animation style for comedic timing, which is refreshing, and this is often done in anime, so nothing out of the world here. Along with some of the magic looking really good, the skeletons often look out of place and not as clean, but these moments are few and far between. As the usual movement looks fluid and nice, so nothing to complain about there. As the usual style looks nice enough, as well as the action is pretty good overall, a solid 17 out of 20. So I have to give Deadmau Deathplay an objective rating of platinum, although for enjoyment factor, this is an easy diamond. Not a perfect show, but it does most things you want in an action anime well, and is on the top of my suggested anime for the spring 2023 season. This has been Anime Disrupt, and I'm pleased to say that Deadmau Deathplay easily clears the 3-episode rule, so make sure you give it a try today, as Deadmau Deathplay 3 episodes in has officially been disrobed.